back to my kitchen. I am absolutely amazed, or well, I'm actually very excited, that's the word, to invite you guys to my kitchen today because I was about to do something very special. One of my favorite soups that I usually cook for myself, and I thought, okay, this is the day I want to invite you guys to my kitchen so that you can join me and see how I'm making this very fantastic meal. So welcome to my kitchen. If you're new here, I'm Auntie Z. I'm the chief cheerleader at Shape of Africa, and encouraging you and me to eat healthy the African way. Welcome, 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 welcome Favor, welcome Shamina. Let me know that you can hear me loud and clear, and also comment where you're watching from. Let me know if you have any weight loss goals and all of that stuff. Also help me share this video so that many people can benefit from it as well. So good evening everybody. I hope that you gingered today. I was live in the morning sharing with you guys the reason why it is important to get uncomfortable. So that is not the reason for this video, but today in this video or in this live session, cook with me, chit chat with me, I want to show you guys how to make your Afang soup, also known as Eru soup in Cameroon, the healthy way. So the reason I want to show you how I do that is because we have the habit of cooking Eru or Afang soup with a lot of oil. Hey, I'm seeing all of you guys patient. Hey, Ogochi, welcome. We have the attitude, or we are used to cooking Eru or Afang soup with a lot of oil. And the thing that we do not understand is that just a small quantity of oil carries a lot of calories. So it is a calorie dense food or ingredient, oil, which is not the problem. Again, palm oil is not the problem, but the amount that you consume at a time and frequently, it becomes a problem in the long run. Okay, in as much as we use palm oil to cook things like Eru, whereby we put fish, we put assorted meat with a lot of fats and all of those things. So today I want to show you how you can actually make Afang soup, how you can actually make Eru, as we call it in Cameroon, or okok, with not so much oil. Okay, not so much oil. And I also want to show you how you can perfectly portion your Garri for weight loss. So some people say, oh, you shouldn't eat Garri for weight loss, you shouldn't eat swallow for weight loss because it has carbohydrates and it's going to make you fat. No, that's not the problem. Again, I always keep saying it, carbohydrates are not the problem, Garri is not the problem, yam is not the problem. It is how much you're supposed to eat. Even as a type 2 diabetic patient like myself, I'm going to show you how I prepare my Garri and how I portion it in such a way that it's not going to, get me overboard in terms of carbohydrates. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys all the ingredients that you need. We are going to start cooking. But before we start cooking, if you haven't already done so, I have these books here, the Super Fast Weight Loss e-cookbook and the Super Fast Weight Loss e-guide. I just want to open that to show you the cover page. Okay, these two books for the price of one. And in this guide, in the first guide I just showed you right now, you have all of our foods perfectly portioned for you. So if you are asking yourself, how should I portion control yam, how should I portion control Garri, how much Garri should I eat, how much yam should I eat, how much I don't know, cassava should I eat, all of those things, egusi, from all those things that So I've put everything here, measured it out in cups with my hands, or and I've also given you the caloric value and the nutrient value of all of those foods. So you have 76 pages of nearly all of those foods that we usually eat. And so also from this book, I also share with you how to perfectly portion Garri. That's what I want to show you today. So if you don't have the book, this is your chance to get the book. There is a link attached above where you can get the book. And then I have a 99-page recipe book with all of our, all of those things that we usually eat, from smoothies to moi moi, juicy, with pictures and all details with pictures, how the ingredients that you need, everything outlined there for you. So from moi moi to fried rice to pepper soup, Do you understand? Everything is here. So if you are interested, it is not a must. Please get the books. It's going to help you for a lifetime. It's going to teach you how to perfectly portion African foods, ingredients, and how to, you know, eat to lose weight depending on your body mass index. Okay, so I want to go ahead and show you the ingredients that we are going to be using for our Eru or Afang soup. Please share this video, tag your friends. Do you understand? And by the way, if you have not joined the Super Fast Weight Loss private group, I don't know, you are sleeping on a bicycle. You are sleeping on a bicycle. This group, you can join it for free. Do you understand? There I encourage, I teach nutrition, you know, I motivate, we motivate each other as a matter of fact. And we ginger, we exercise, we don't play. In the group, we are already more than 5,000 of us. We are gingering, we are losing weight inch by inch, and you know, we are having a lot of accountability in that group. So let me not talk too much. Let me go ahead and just show you the ingredients for our Afang soup. Give me a minute, sorry. Wait till happen. Okay, there you go. So I hope that we can see that. There you go. So I hope you can see that very well. If you cannot see, let me know that you cannot see, then I'm going to adjust this thing. So of course, for your Afang soup, you need the star of the dish. Okay, this is the Afang okazi leaves, sorry. Okazi leaves, as you call them, we call them okok leaves or eru leaves. These ones were frozen, so I thawed it, I washed it, I removed stones and everything, and I put it in hot water to maintain the color. I didn't boil it or cook it or anything of the sort, but I put it in hot water just to maintain the color. And then normally in Cameroon we use water leaf to cook, but since I don't have access to water leaf here, I'm using frozen spinach here. So normally frozen spinach, this is 1 kilogram of frozen spinach, and this is 250 grams of okazi leaf. So you want to, one of the things that I want to share with you today is that the amount, the ratio of okazi leaf to water leaf or spinach should be about at least 1 to 3. That means 1 part of okazi leaf and 3 parts of spinach. The reason why most of us add a lot of, the reason why we add a lot of oil in our Afang soup is because we have a lot of okazi leaf or eru leaf or okok, and then we have very little spinach. And so when you cook it together, it is not soft. The tendency now is for you to add a lot of oil because you want to try to soften it. That is where you are just pouring in the calories, Do you understand? But if you have a good ratio and a good balance of okazi leaves or eru leaves to water leaf, then you're going to see that your eru is going to be soft without you having to pour in 1 liter, 2 liters of oil, because generally this quantity you can easily pour up to 1 liter of oil inside, because this food really soaks oil, it soaks the moisture, it soaks the liquid that is in the food. So if you are not putting in enough water leaf to soften it and, you know, give it that softness, then you have the tendency to pour a lot of oil in it, and that is what we don't want, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Because listen, 1 tablespoon of palm oil, whether it's palm oil, whether it is peanut oil. Hey Rachel, hi. Thank you so much. 1 tablespoon of palm oil or granite oil or olive oil has 13 grams of fat, and about 100 and something calories. I can't tell you exactly, but it's about 112 or 113 calories in 1 tablespoon of oil. So you can begin to imagine that 100 grams of oil, which I have here, this is just 100 grams, and it's looking pretty small, right? But this is just what you need, is enough for this quantity of eru or Afang soup that I'm cooking for the whole house. So we are going to have about 8 servings here. Do you understand? We're going to have 8 to 10 servings of this okazi soup. So at the end of the day, everybody is going to be consuming, you know, or each serving is going to have about 1 to maximum 2 tablespoons of oil. You do not need more than that, especially if you're trying to lose weight. You do not need more than that. So number one, the first tip when you are trying to make weight loss or a healthy afang soup, your ratio of okazi leaf or any leaf to spinach or water leaf should be at least 1 to 3. That means 1 part of okazi leaf to 3 parts of spinach, or even 4. This is 4 parts. Do you understand? So that's very important to help you minimize the amount of oil, because the spinach or the water leaf is going to soften up the okazi and then enabling you not to add a lot of oil to the soup. So let us go ahead and let me continue showing you the rest of the ingredients that we are going to be using. So you are going to notice very quickly that I don't have any meat anywhere here. That's simply because we try to reduce meat consumption in the house here, because also we are going to talk about that a lot of meats that we eat are pumped with hormones and antibiotics and all of those things, and also they have a lot of trans fats. So in combination with oil and those kind of fatty meats and all of that, puts you at a very high risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiac disease, and some cancer. So we try to limit meat. So we eat meat just about once a month, and we try as much as possible to eat lean meat. So, but what I have here is fish. And the kind of fish that we eat a lot in the house is the fatty fish. This is salmon. It has been dried. I dried it in the oven myself. So you're going to notice that salmon is a fatty fish. But although it is a fatty fish, it doesn't mean that it is an unhealthy fish. It is a hard, healthy, fatty fish. That means that the fats that you have in salmon or other fish like catfish that we have, or mackerel, those are fatty fish, but the fats are hard, healthy fat. Those are the fats that will give you omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which are very necessary for heart health. Okay, this is very important. So you want to make sure that you are choosing dried catfish, dried salmon, dried mackerel, and all of those fatty fish. And because salmon or mackerel is a fatty fish, as you are cooking it, some of the oils is going to ooze out from the fish and also mix up with the okazi or the afang soup that you are cooking. So you will now not need a lot of palm oil that has a lot of saturated fatty acids in it. Not to say that saturated fatty acid is a problem, but when you eat a lot like we usually do you understand, for this soup you are going to have somebody use 500 milliliters, 750, some people even use up to 1 liter of palm oil to cook this kind of soup, because you want it to, you want to see the oil glistening in there. So please, this is the tip number 2. I'm sorry, let me take something. Tip number 2 is to use fatty fish in place of meat. Do you understand? Use fatty fish. And then we have also my fresh shrimp here that I really love, because it contains a lot of proteins. Do you understand? And you want to have those proteins if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're a type 2 diabetes patient, you need proteins in your diet. It's very important. So you want to add up your or amp up your protein levels in the food, or protein quantity in the food, and reduce saturated fats, unnecessary fats from meat and all of those things. Okay, so before I forget, what I also forgot to mention is that this okazi leaf, let me bring it closer so you can see. This okazi leaf that we use to make eru or afang soup, or this eru leaf or okok for Cameroonians, is a highly nutritive dark leafy vegetable. Very, very important. This is one of the vegetables that if you're trying to lose weight, please incorporate it in your diet. Do you understand why? Because it's a powerful cleanser. It helps your body to naturally cleanse itself. Do you understand? It has properties that helps the body to naturally cleanse itself. It's very important. And these leaves are also very high in protein. Do you understand? So sometimes we feel that we have to eat chicken or we have to eat meat in order to get protein in our diet. No, this leaf has proteins. Spinach has proteins. Water leaf has protein. So basically, it is just because of the fats I need, I can still cook this food without the fish. Do you understand? And also, this leaf is also a very powerful source of dietary fiber. You guys know that dietary fiber is extremely good for weight loss. Why? Because it helps in digestion, it keeps you fuller for longer. And for those people who have type 2 diabetes, the fiber helps regulate blood sugar. So the combination of how you put your food together is very important. So if you know these things, and I was teaching the other day what is food, if you know what food is and what nutrients certain foods contain, it's going to be very, very helpful for you. Okay, so definitely that. And then let me just go ahead and show you more of what I'm going to be adding. So I've talked about the crayfish with the proteins, and I'm going to add more proteins with my snails. I know that some people don't eat snails, but it is a very highly nutritive food with low calories. So I love it. I add it there. And I have my dried catfish and my dried salmon, and I have my crayfish, okay, which is also a very good taste enhancer, especially if you don't want to, if you are somebody like me, you don't like Maggi a lot. So when you have crayfish in there, you definitely don't need Maggi in that soup. Okay, then we have some pepper for those who like it hot, and 100 milliliters of palm oil, just 100. This looks really small, but this is about 700 and something, 800 calories. Do you understand? And it is okay because this meal is going to be shared among 6 people in the house. Do you understand? So it is okay. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm not trying to say that you should not consume oil any longer, okay? But you should know how to minimize oil, right? So let us go ahead and start the cooking process. Let me see how or where I can, put my... Okay, so there you go. All right, so the first thing I'm going to start to do, I'm going to cook this very unconventionally. Oh, what's happening to my... Can somebody bring me my iPad so that I can see what I'm doing here? This is my pot. Okay. There you go. So I'm going to just go ahead and add just a little bit of the oil into the pot, some of it like so, and then I'm going to go ahead and I will not bleach the oil. I'm just going to go ahead and add my prawns. Whoa, sorry. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and add the prawns. We have added the prawns in there. We're going to salt the prawns a little bit. Please take note that this is not the conventional method of cooking eru. It is just because I'm using fresh prawns. That is the reason why I'm cooking it using this different method, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt in there, just a little bit. I'm going to increase the heat. So go ahead and ask questions. I have my iPad here, and I'm going to go to our page, and so that I can see your questions, the questions you're asking. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and, like saute these prawns for about 5 minutes, just so they get cooked. Please bear with me. Oh my God. So let me know. There are some people that say they don't eat prawns. Sorry, they don't eat snails. It's okay not to eat snails. But some of us eat snails and we think it's very, very delicious. So what's wrong happening with my fire now? So again, if you are trying to lose weight, for those who are just joining in, it is very important that you combine foods in a proper way. It's very, very important. You need to know the nutrient value of the foods that you are eating. Do you understand? First of all, you need to know the nutrient value of the foods that you're eating, and then you also need to know how to combine those foods. This is very, very, very important. Please ask your questions. I can see your comments. You need to know how to combine food, and you need to know how to cook food in a healthy way. So when you are trying to lose weight, it doesn't mean that you are no longer going to eat Afang soup It doesn't mean that you are no longer going to, I'm sorry, there's some oil on the wall and I don't like that. I need to always clean up when I'm cooking. You don't need to avoid plantain. You don't need to avoid garri. You don't need to say, oh, I will not eat, I will eat only lettuce and what's that? I'll eat only lettuce and carrots. No. Somebody asked the question, why don't you cure the oil? Because bleach oil is not good for you. Under normal circumstances, when you are cooking with palm oil, it is generally advised that you add the palm oil at the end or towards the end of your cooking. So say for example, and that's how you cook Afang soup or eru in Cameroon. Do you understand? So when you are cooking eru, you put everything, you put the spinach or the water leaf, you know, and then you put all the other ingredients, the fish, the meat, if you are using meat and stuff like that, and until everything is cooked and you know that you just have about 5 minutes to go, then you add the palm oil on top. You don't want to overcook it, because when you overcook oil, you're changing the chemical nature of the oil. Do you understand? And that's the reason why so many people have cancers, because we bleach oil to cook this, bleach oil to cook that, or overcook oil. Do you understand? Food that is in its most organic state, in its most unprocessed state, is the best food for you. You get? So okay, our prawns have been cooking about for 2 minutes. You don't want to overcook prawns. If not, they get what we say in Cameroon, they get tanga. Do you understand? They are no longer crisp and fresh. So I'm going to take these prawns out. Give me 1 minute. And then we're going to continue the cooking process. So, the way it smells good. This is so good. This is so good. Alright, so our prawns are ready. I'm going to take it out. And then we're going to continue. So the next step of this cooking process is simply to add in our spinach or water leaf. So remember, this is frozen spinach I'm using, because I did not have access to water leaf right now in my area where I am. So I'm using spinach. It's also very good. It's soft. It softens really quickly and it tastes the same. There is no difference, because you know that water leaf is like almost tasteless, right? So spinach is almost the same thing. So as you can see, it is oozing out some water there. Can you guys see? Oh, okay, good. So it's going to be oozing out some water, and really this process is so simple. That's why I like this soup, because it doesn't need you to do much. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my dried catfish. Inside there, I dried it in the oven. It's really dry. And yes, you can cook it before, but this particular catfish, when you dry it and you need to cook, you can just throw it in the pot and it softens almost immediately. So once you do that, you can go ahead and also add in your pepper if you like it hot. Add in the pepper. I've increased my heat to maximum. And then go ahead and add everything that you need to add. Do you understand? I'm going to add half of the crayfish, okay? And I'm going to explain why in a minute. I'm also going to add in my snails. They are already pre-cooked. I pre-cooked them before we just salt. So that we don't waste a lot of time. Well, let's go ahead and give that a gentle mix, gentle stir. Sometimes, what I like to do when I'm cooking, or not sometimes, most of the time, I just let the food cook first without adding salt at the beginning, because most of the time, most of the foods that we eat already have some amount of salt naturally. Do you understand? So you don't actually need to add salt anymore. The next thing I'm going to add is my okazi leaves already. Some people, everybody's going to say, no, why? Leave the spinach to cook. No, we don't want to overcook this food. We want to at least retain some of the nutrients. Do you understand? You get what I'm saying? So I'm just going to add my okazi leaves little by little and stir it. I'm going to stir this one. If you are not really sure if your okazi is okay or not, or if it's too much for the amount of spinach that you are cooking, then you can add it in little by little in small portions. Don't go ahead and throw everything in there, and then at the end the soup is too dry. Let me put it that way. So we are just going to go ahead and mix this. You see, so I already know that I'll be needing a little bit more okazi. That's the reason why it's good to, you know, portion the okazi leaves and the spinach very well in a good ratio, like I mentioned before. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this one in as well. This was dried okazi leaves that I'm using. These are dried ones, so I thawed it, washed it, removed stones and stuff like that. Okay, well, it's looking as though my pot is not cooking. That's just because the spinach was frozen, but it's going to start cooking in a bit. So this thing really takes about 20 minutes. Once it starts cooking, it's just about 20 minutes, and that's it. Any questions? Yes, I'm putting pepper like that because I have small children in the house, and I don't want them to eat pepper when it's too hot, when the seeds are out. So sometimes the children have stomach ache when they eat the seeds of the pepper, so I usually do not crush it. But if you are used to eating crushed pepper, or your kids are used to eating crushed pepper, please do not hesitate. Crush it, and then add it into the pot. Oh, my pot is quite small, and I cannot wait to enjoy this. This is already tasting delicious. I've not even added salt. Can you imagine? Chai, let food not be sweet like this. See how soft my soup is. No need for extra oil. As a matter of fact, you could actually just eat it as it is now, right? That means without oil, without adding any more extra oil. See how you reduce calories when you are cooking. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to add, before I get to showing you how to control your garri, is just my salmon fish, just as it is like that. I dried it in the oven. Oh, this fish is so delicious. Very nice. Try it. So that I'm adding it now so that some of the oil should also ooze out and mix with the soup. This is so good. Who has ever tried dried salmon? Have you ever tried dried salmon? Oh, one thing, we're going to add our prawns, all with that juice in there. Oh my goodness, this is so good. This is so good. Have you ever tried salmon in the house? Who has ever made Afang soup without meat? Please let me know. Let me know. So we are just going to now go ahead and give this a gentle mix, because you don't want all of that fish to scatter. We want to see some of the fish in there. As we are not using meat, it's good that we are gentle with the pot. Do you understand? Tell me, is this not looking delicious already? It is. You can definitely cook and enjoy your native soup without meat by, you know, incorporating seafood in there, just like so. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add in a little bit of water. Sounds strange, but it's very good because it will help me soften my food again very well. Do you understand? Ooh, I love this. So I'm just going to let it cook just for about 5 minutes before I now come and add some salt, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the oil towards the end. Oh, let me go ahead and add the rest of the crayfish as well. This is giving me my seasoning that I need, so I don't need Maggi. For those of you who eat a lot of Maggi, don't be eating a lot of Maggi. Do you understand? Maggi contains monosodium glutamate, taste enhancers, and consumed moderately is okay, but Most of us, we have the tendency in this kind of small pot of soup, some people will put 4 or 5 Maggi cubes. No. My grandmother and my mom used to say that if you cannot cook, or if you cannot cook without Maggi, then you are not a good cook. You should be able to cook with salt and spices. Okay? Like crayfish, like dawa dawa. Do you understand? All of those spices that mimic the taste of Maggi when you combine them together properly. For those of you who have high blood pressure, you want to also make sure that you reduce salt. You know how much salt you are to consume a day for a normal healthy person. 6 grams, the equivalent of 1 teaspoon, sorry. So, okay, very good. I love what I'm seeing. We are going to proceed now to making the garri while this one is just cooking there slowly, okay? Do you have any questions so far? Hey guys! Oh, I need to turn this camera so that you can see me properly. Do you have any questions so far? Any questions? Let me see if there are any questions so that I can answer them. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit, no, Jemima, about how to perfectly portion your garri. Okay, how to perfectly portion your garri. And the reason why you should definitely perfectly portion your garri is because garri is also a very high carbohydrate food. Okay, any food that has carbohydrates that is more than 3 servings in one portion is already a high carbohydrate food. That means when you're going beyond 45 grams of carbohydrates per portion of food that you are eating. So say for example, you are eating some quantity of rice, and if you can count or calculate the calories, you realize that that portion of rice that you are eating alone already contains 45 grams plus of carbohydrates. Then your food is a high carb food. So generally, it is recommended that you eat between 1 to 3 servings of carbohydrate if you are healthy. If you are a healthy person, meaning that you don't have type 2 diabetes, you are not obese and stuff like that. Generally, a day, a woman like you and myself, my age, it is recommended and actually advisable to consume between 180 to 200 grams of carbohydrates a day. So what does that translate into? It translates into a lot. Let me give you a small example. 1 cup of garri. Let me bring garri. I'm coming. Oh, my pot is boiling. 1 cup of garri. 1 cup. And I don't know if you understand what 1 cup of garri looks like. So I'm going to show you 1 cup of garri so that you know, you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so most of the time, the reason why we overeat is because we don't have an idea of what we are eating, of how much we are eating. So basically, this is garri and this is 1 cup. So if I put this cup on my hand, you are going to see how small it is. So this is 1 cup of garri. Sorry, 1 cup. I'm going to measure 1 level cup of garri so you can see. It's not to make a mountain with a garri. Oh, when they say measure 1 cup, don't make a mountain. So this is basically 1 cup of garri. And this 1 cup of garri, okay, has 130 grams of carbohydrate. 130 grams. So imagine that you are supposed to eat 180 grams of carbohydrate a day. That means your day's amount of carbohydrate is 180 grams. So by cooking this cup of garri and eating this cup of garri in one sitting, you have already consumed about 130.5 grams of carbohydrate. And this 1 cup of garri is the equivalent of 150 grams of garri. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does this make sense? Please comment, let me see. 150 grams, 1 cup, 150 grams, 130 grams of carbohydrate. So basically, and most of us can even eat 2 of these. Sometimes there are people who eat 2 of these. You have not even started counting the soup. You have not started counting the meat. You have not started counting all the other side things you are eating with the carbohydrate. So you have already eaten more than 2/3 of your available carbohydrates in a day. That is just in one sitting. So that is the reason why we Africans, our food is very good. But the problem is that, one, we do not work as hard as our ancestors, like our grandparents used to work 100 years ago. They used to do a lot of physically hard work. So it was necessary for them to consume 1 cup of Garri, because imagine a father that goes to the plantation. He works from morning to night, and then he comes back, and then he can eat 1 cup. He actually needs about 200 to 230 grams of carbohydrates a day because of the physical activity that he does. Do you understand? Look at our mothers who used to cook, like, yam. They would pound yam. Do you understand? They would pound yam. They would fry Garri. They would go and carry water, walk distances to go and carry water. So they were physically really active, and so they could afford to eat this and not grow fat. But now in our daily lives today, we the younger generation, we are taking taxis everywhere. Even the 1 meter to go to the shop, we'll take taxi. To go to the market, take taxi. We are no longer doing hard labor. We are no longer doing farming jobs and all of those things. We are no longer as active as our parents. We're taking leaves. We are sitting alone, watching television and all of that. So the amount of calories that we need is not as much. But then we are still eating the same way that our grandparents were eating. So what does that imply? Now I'm talking for somebody who is healthy. What does that imply? I wanted to show you that, for those of you who don't have the book, I've talked about Garri, and I've also talked about yam, I've talked about cassava, I've talked about water fufu, I've talked about pounded yam. In fact, everything is here. How to measure it for weight loss. So if you haven't got these books, there are 2 of them. This is the guide and then the cookbook. There's a link above here. Click that link and go and purchase your own. But then, clearly, 1 cup of Garri like this, you understand, is 535 calories, 130 grams of carbohydrates, 5.2 grams of sugar, of course, good, 10 grams of protein, 10.5 grams of protein, which is very good, 8.5 grams of fiber. So those who demonize Garri is not the problem. Garri is not bad. It is the quantity, how much you are eating and what you are mixing it with. Do you understand? So definitely, I would highly recommend that if you are a healthy person and you want to enjoy your Garri and your Afang soup that is cooking behind here, you are going to eat 1/3 of a cup, which is about 50 grams, right? Somebody said it correctly there. 1/3 of a cup. And we are going to cook 1/3 of a cup. We are going to cook 50 grams, and I'm going to show you how much 50 grams is, because also the proportion of water to Garri is very important, because you are not eating the Garri raw like this without water. You are adding water there and it bulks it up. So at the end of the day, you have a large or a reasonable amount of Garri serving that is good for you, that can satisfy you. Plus, you have combined it with high fiber, high protein, less fat food. It's a magic equation. It has to work. Now, I want to talk to those who have type 2 diabetes like myself, and you are going to wonder that, Auntie Z, with type 2 diabetes, you are also eating Garri. Yes, I'm eating Garri, but I'm portioning my Garri appropriately. So, the portion that we are going to make here, I'm going to show you. I can actually eat 33 grams of Garri, or I can cook 50 grams and divide it into 2 and take my own portion. Do you understand? Why am I saying that type 2 diabetes people can eat Garri also? It is because although type 2 diabetes people don't have to eat a lot of carbohydrates, especially if you are not on medication, because I am not on medication, but those people who are on medication like insulin or metformin, that brings down your blood sugar when you eat, then you have to also know how to manage or measure the quantity of carbohydrate that you are eating if you are taking medication. So be very careful there. Now, speaking for myself, I'm not taking medication. So what I'm doing is I'm restricting my carbohydrate intake to up to 50 grams a day. 50 grams a day of carbohydrate. We have just said that 1 cup of Garri contains what? 130 grams of carbohydrate. So how do I do it? What I do is, if I'm doing intermittent fasting, then I'm going to eat in the evening. Like today, I'm going to eat after I cook. So I'm going to limit my Garri portion to about 40-45 grams. And to be able to limit it to 40-45 grams, I can eat up to 1/3 of a cup of Garri. Do you understand? I can eat it. And that's going to be my carbohydrate portion for today, because the other meals that I'm going to eat are not going to be having carbohydrates. So if you are not fasting, what can you do? It means that in the morning you get up, you have breakfast that is a low carbohydrate or no complex carbohydrate food. If you don't understand what complex carbohydrates are or resistant carbohydrates are, please join the Super Fast Weight Loss group, where I'm sharing all that kind of information for free for now. When the course will come out, you have to pay for it. That's my clients pay for the information I'm giving you now for free. So you have one main meal, one warm main meal that has about 40 to 45 grams of carbohydrate if you have type 2 diabetes. And then the other 2 meals are low carb meals. So that's how you can manage carbohydrates. Manage your diabetes eating African food even with type 2 diabetes, especially if you are not on medication. So apart from that, I'm doing other things like exercise and stuff like that. So my thing has been cooking for 5 minutes now. I just want to go ahead and let us check it out before we start cooking the Garri. Can you see? Oh yes, you can see. Very good. So now it is already soft enough. I don't need to do much. You don't need to overcook these things. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the rest of the oil, and I'm going to let it cook again for 5 minutes, and that's just going to be it. So this is the rest of the oil that I'm adding in. Generally, those who cook Afang soup for sale, you know that the Afang soup or the Eru soup is swimming in oil, right? It's actually swimming in oil. While it's cooking, I'm going to start preparing for us to make the Garri. Oh, I have to show you guys how we do it. So let me just go ahead and put the pot there. Put in all the oil. And that's just it. So we're going to let this one be doing its thing. We're going to start preparing for the Garri. And I'm going to show you, we are going to measure this out together. This is very important. So I have my scale balance here. Normally I don't measure it out because I already know how much I need. What's happening? This scale should not leave me on the way. Well, I wanted to measure it out so you guys can see. Anyway, there you go, it's working. So the first thing that we are going to measure is water. So I'm going to go ahead and measure or the Garri. Let us measure the Garri first. All right, so I want to show you that 1/3 cup of Garri is about 50 grams, right? So this is, I put my scale to 0. This is 1/3 cup, as you can see. Sorry, 1/3 cup, 1/3 cup. And then I have to put it to 0. Then we're going to measure 50 grams of Garri, which is the equivalent of 1/3 of a cup. I'm doing this to show you that you can just use a 1/3 cup and just measure your Garri every single time, especially if you're cooking for you alone. But if you are cooking for you and family, you see what I'm telling you. So this is now 49 grams, as you can see. Let's just add it up to the 50. That's 50 grams. So I told you that 1/3 cup is 50 grams of Garri. What I wrote in that book, or what I share with you, are things that I have done. I have measured every single ingredient, every single food. Where is the book? Every single food has been measured out. So it is not even a joke. Do you understand? I've measured, I've weighed, I've calculated the calories, the carbohydrates, the proteins, because that's what I've been taught in school. That's my job. So you can see, I have okra. How many grams is 100 grams of okra? If you want to keep seeing, you know, potato, fish, pepper soup, everything. Egusi, oils, fats and oils are there. Everything that you need is here. And once you have learned how this functions, then your life becomes easier. Do you understand? You see, from every beans, in short, everything is there, like I mentioned before. So that is the Garri, 50 grams. And now we're going to go ahead and measure water. So I said to you that the ratio of water to Garri is very important. Why is this thing making like this now? I'm just measuring it out so that you can see. If not, I already know how it functions. When I'm cooking, I no longer need to measure. And I'm going to show you what you can do, especially if you are cooking for the whole family and you don't want to be measuring 1/3 of a cup like that. Okay? So, what I'm going to measure here is water that we are going to use to cook the Garri. I'm going to put it at 0. And then we are going to measure water. So for 50 grams of Garri, the equivalent of 1/3 cup, you need 150 grams of water. Oh, I've gone overboard a little bit there. So you need 150 grams of water. So we are going to get this water boiling right here. Put it on, and we are going to cook the Garri in a minute. See, it's very easy. Now let me show you what's happening to my soup right here. Oh, yum, so yum. So now I can go ahead and add salt, just a little bit. Don't overdo too much with that salt, please. So for those of you who, like me, don't like to eat how do they call it, cabbage fufu and stuff, if you don't like that, this is the alternative for you. Portion control your Garri, portion control your pounded yam, you know, portion control everything, and you are going to be fine. You don't have a problem. Do you understand? Any questions? I'm not seeing questions. Is it that there are no questions, or am I the one not seeing? Yeah, that's okay. That's my husband speaking to me. Okay, so my Afang soup, Eru soup, is cooked. Do you see? Have you seen any oil swimming anywhere? No. Very delicious, very healthy, very nutritious. Everything that you need is inside there. So I've turned down the heat, and I'm going to show you guys how I cook my Garri. Let me bring this camera somewhere else, and we're going to cook the Garri. Ooh. Oh, come on now. All right, so I have to put this down. I have a half spoon like this one. What is happening here? Okay, so we just go ahead and put the Garri inside there now and stir. That's just it. There you go. Ooh. So, as I said before, you don't need to measure all of these things all the time. I'm just measuring it so that you see, so that you know the quantity. I use the glass so that you can see approximately the quantity that you are using. When I'm cooking Garri for my whole family, I don't measure anything. And I'm going to show you how to also still measure your Garri when you have cooked a bigger pot of Garri and you need to measure out your own portion. Do you understand? So this is it. Garri is already ready. Doesn't take long. And I'm going to show you the quantity that you are going to be eating. This quantity is the same as about 1/4 of a plate. So 1/4 of a plate, and that's exactly what you need if you are trying to portion control the African way using my method, my African plate method, or the map method. So the Garri is ready. I'm going to show you now what you can do. So imagine that you have cooked for the whole family, right? A big pot of Garri, and you don't want to you don't want to be measuring, you understand, 1/4 or 1/3 cup to cook separately. That makes you cook 2 different pots of Garri, which is not which is not I mean, that's not what you need to be doing, to giving yourself a lot of work when weight loss is already a lot of work in itself. So to be able to know what quantity you are going to eat, or what quantity you can eat without previously measuring 1/4 cup, use half cup. Okay, use half cup, and when you have cooked for the whole family, scoop half cup of Garri for yourself. Do you understand? So if you are cooking a big pot of Garri, this is your portion. Especially if you have followed, you know, the recommendations that I've talked about before. So for those of you guys who are just signing in, please don't just watch the video again. So this is your portion, and I'm going to show you that this portion is equivalent to 1/4 plate. So here you go. I wanted actually to get this plate is also white, so they are not even going to see it. So imagine this is your plate. It is a 20-inch plate. You don't go and carry, when I say plate, don't go and take this one, because sometimes when they say do 1/4 plate, now you go and take the basin, you go and take this one. Look at the difference. Do you see? It's not this plate you are using. It is a 20 to 22-inch plate maximum that you are using to portion control. So this cup cooked is going to give you 1/4 plate. Do you see this? This is how your Garri should look like. Now if I wanted to serve myself some of that Afang soup, our weight loss Afang soup, okay, then we are just going to go ahead and serve it. As simple as that. I hope you can see. We are going to go ahead and serve it because it is also cooked. Ha! Chai, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. This is so good. This is so delicious. Let me turn down the heat completely. We are going to serve it. You know exactly what you are eating, how much you are eating. Make the rest of the plate the vegetables. Add a lot of vegetables. Add your proteins. Don't be afraid to add that. And this is how you eat and lose weight without stress. This is how you eat and manage type 2 diabetes. You add some of those, that fish there. Do you understand? And this is the end result. Okay? Let me put it here so that we can all see. This is not small, oh. If I should weigh this one now, this is about 500 grams of food. But 500 grams of healthy food. Do you understand? 500 grams. Now we are going to give it a taste test, and I'm going to put this thing up like that and this way so that you can see me clearly. Woo! I'm sorry for you people, no, you have to watch me eat. This is not even possible. Woo! This smells so good. Look at that. See, this is my plate of food. Delicious, isn't it? Delicious. This is it. Look at that. Not too much oil. Delicious, smells good, loaded with proteins. It is soft. Let me taste for all of us. Chai. If you like food like me, if you like food like me, this one you will enjoy this. You enjoy. You are going to enjoy this. I'm telling you, it's not a joke. Let us taste some of those prawns. Chai, it's in the hot too. Chai. Chai. No. Make sure no ever see so. Chai. Guys, I can't put this plate down now. I don't know. No. No. I can't put this plate. So I've been fasting for 18 hours And this is my very first meal for today. And, you know, it's so fulfilling to know that you are giving yourself good food. You are giving yourself life. Do you understand? Because food is anything that sustains life. Food is anything that repairs the body. Food is anything that protects the body. Do you understand? So, food, and we said also that food is information. So now that I'm eating this food like that, I'm giving my body the information that proteins are coming in. And so what's going to happen? This protein is going to be metabolized to amino acids. I'm going to look at my body and say, this guy did some physical activity this morning whereby the cells need to be, do you understand? Need to grow. Some cells were torn. They need to repair some cells and some tissues. Try. Then, hot. When food is hot, but you cannot leave it. The carbohydrate I'm eating from the Garri, it's a source of energy, source of fuel. Has some fiber, has some proteins. It's going to fuel me up for tomorrow's exercise. Try. Who want to taste? Langa. Who wants to taste this catfish, this dry catfish? Oh, what? So, you see what I'm doing? I'm first of all eating the Afang soup. Until I'll feel as if I'm getting full, that's when I'll start to touch the Garri. So sometimes this Garri will even remain. It's another trick that I use. Guys, I wanted to share these tips with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, just to recapitulate, you can definitely cook native soups without extremely pouring in oil into the food. You can cook those native soups and they will still taste delicious, even if you don't use lots of meats that have a lot of trans fats. The keys or the tips, the super tips I can share with you is to have a good ratio and a good balance of okazi leaf, eru leaf, and spinach or water leaf. The second tip is, what did I say? The second tip is, when you have that balance, you are not going to add a lot of oil. The second tip is, use fatty fish. Okay, use fatty fish that is going to help or ooze out some more oil that's going to help make your dish very, very soft, very, very satisfying, very, very delicious. And then the third tip is, combine this kind of food with a good, healthy carbohydrate like Garri. It's okay, or water fufu, which is fermented cassava, which is good for your gut flora. Do you understand? So if you haven't bought the books yet and you want to learn more about how to eat this way to, you know, lose weight or even reverse type 2 diabetes, there is a link above here. Click the link to purchase the book. If you want to join us and be gingered and encouraged to lose weight and you don't have to pay, ask to join Super Fast Weight Loss, the group, and I'm going to, you know, invite you into the group and we're going to ginger together. Let me know if you want to see any other food cooked the healthy way like this together. If you're not following me on YouTube, it's Shape Up African TV. And guys, I'm going to see you in the next one. Mwah! Bye!